Hey garden friends, it's Destry. I'm back in my Oregon yard today. I have a special guest for you and a special project. So my yardener husband, Cory, just built us some new garden beds for our backyard and they are absolutely beautiful. So he's going to be taking you through the process and costs and some tips and tricks on how to build your own. You don't want to miss this. So be sure to give Cory some love by liking and subscribing to my channel, and I hope you enjoy today's video.
All right, so here's a couple pictures I took as we built these, but we had a garden bed sitting here facing a different direction. You might see that in a picture too, or you might have seen it. We needed to replace them. They were rotting out. We had some over here along the house too that were getting quite rotten, so we decided we were going to replace all of our garden beds in this area this spring. So that's what we did. Really simple box that I like to build is, I use 2x12 cedar planks. Usually they're utility grade. That's all you really need for a garden bed. I do like the spending the extra money on the cedar 4x4 4x4 posts. I like to use posts. Some people just connect the planks together. I find they last a lot longer and they're a lot more sturdy if you put a post in. And I like to use the, excuse me, I'll go grab one here. Basically it's a lag bolt with a washer on it. I like to use two of these to put them together to screw them into the 4x4. Makes it nice and square, nice and sturdy. When you're leveling these things out, which I'll get to in a second, it makes it a lot easier to move them around and stand them up so you can actually dig out where they go. You'll see that the old garden beds are inside the new garden beds. We just kind of threw them in as filler. Those should just rot right into the ground. Hopefully eventually they were on their way to doing that already. So when you get them put together, I like to make them look nice, space them out. We measured them out. We had 3, so I centered this one between the shed and some of the landscaping over here, and then I measured out from there an equal distance. When I set them on the ground, they weren't level. So I like things to kind of be pleasing to the eye. So I use the pickaxe, set them around. I mark where they go, move them out, and you put the level on them, figure out which end. And this end was higher than that end, and then it kind of set a little like this on the ground. So I like to take them up and basically dig out where they're going to set. You can eyeball it some, but if you know it's sitting higher on this end, you start your trench really shallow there and you go deeper here. And I've done it enough where 2 of them were on the first try pretty good. So you set them back down, and if they're level, they're great. And then you can kind of sit in, you get some high spots and low spots. You can just kind of infill them with some of the dirt that you dug up. We had a lot of dirt here left over from the old garden beds, so that kind of helped. I just kind of shoveled it in. Kind of see here that probably some more needs to be shoveled into this end here.
So why did you leave the top parts longer?
Oh, well, it was kind of a trial and error thing. We were thinking maybe building higher garden beds this time, but when we put them all together, we just didn't really like how they looked. So I thought about, we took them down to just one 2x12 height. So basically they're a foot high. And I thought about cutting them back down. But then we thought, if we had some problems with either dogs getting in, or if we wanted to put some netting over to keep the birds out of something, they might help. So we just kind of left them long just to kind of give us some options. Plus, Destry said that she might want to put an archway over between, or between them both, or over them, and it might be a nice.
Might be an archway here.
Yeah.
And here. And what are we going to use for the archways again?
Well, we've looked at a few different options. I think we're kind of settled on just a simple archway made out of some wire field fencing. We'll see how that works. I think that's going to be kind of a trial and error thing too. But I've seen some pictures and whatnot that look interesting, so we'll try to.
Show us the stain you use.
Sure. The stain's just it's a Valspar. Nothing real special about it. It's basically a deck stain. You know, so I'm not. The only thing that was appealing to this brand is it was kind of it wasn't as expensive as the real expensive brand, but it was about $5 cheaper per gallon.
Okay. Can you take us over and show us the old garden beds, the ones over here that you built in the past?
Sure. These are essentially the same garden bed with a normal size post, but they're due to be treated too with some stain. They were stained just like those when we put these in. I'm gonna say this is probably their 4th year.
Yeah, that sounds.
They were put in before the greenhouse, and this is the greenhouse's 3rd summer.
Are these the same size as that other one?
Same size. Those other ones are just a little bit wider. The hardware store that I bought the lumber from didn't have. They had some 8-foot planks, cedar planks, but none of them I could use. In that whole pallet, I couldn't use any of them because they were all. A lot of them were split.
Here you can see the difference between the old wood and
Yep.
how it weathers versus.
Yeah, I'm kind of picky when it comes to lumber. So if I see lumber out of the lumber yard that have big splits in it like this, or they're already starting to rot in on one side, I don't use those. So they had 10-footers that for just a few bucks more per board that were much better. So I used 10-footers instead, and I just cut them down. And that kind of allowed me to, on these, you can buy an 8-foot, so 3 8-foot, 2 by 12 by 8-foot planks. You can make, and of course, you know, a cedar post. You can make a garden bed out of. Those were 10-footers, so you can just cut one of these 8-footers in half and use that as your width. Those I had 10-footers, so I had some leeway. So I made those about 8.5 feet by. It's a true 4 feet in the middle. So the boards, the side boards, the ends, I could cut. Let's see, I cut those to about 52 inches. So if you measure.
Can you tell us why you have this one up on there?
Oh yeah, so.
One's not done yet.
So this is an entirely. This is a garden bed that's going out to my sister's.
Yeah.
So,
one more
and I will be putting the rest of it. It's put together, but I'll just be bolting it together out there. It's already drilled and everything ready to put together.
Finds out you can make garden beds, then they start
Yeah.
asking for garden beds.
Yeah, and when you have some extra lumber, you know. But and then of course I like to put something like this on. I'm kind of like the green caps, but these really cut down on the weathering on the ends of the 4x4, because this will start to get rotten after a while. But
how long would you say it took you to build all 3 of them?
well, I mean, you can knock this stuff out in a day if that's all you're doing. But then with the weather, building them in February underneath our enclosure here and staining them, I would stain the boards, stain some of the boards one day, let them dry out, flip them over, stain the other side, let them dry out. So it's been a couple week process to do this. you know, I leveled all these out yesterday. So if you put a level on all these, you know, it's level. So and I like to do that just because I don't like them sitting with the grade of the ground, because then you get them all different directions, laying all different directions.
Like dirt, do you think it's going to take?
So about a yard per garden bed. So my trailer will haul about 3 yards. I only haul 2 yards in it because it's an old trailer and I don't trust it. But so yeah, about a yard of and I like to use our local composting company. They have this stuff called blended mint compost. I like to use that. We've had really good luck with it in the past. That's what all the garden beds over there are filled with. And we put those in. That's what those were filled with when we first got them. And then you can dig that stuff into them every spring. And so yeah, we're just about ready to start filling those up with dirt and get planted. And the ones, these garden beds here that we replaced, you've got the old wooden ones are in there as well. So you know, you can use all kinds of stuff. These are pretty tall, so we used some filler in those, and they were helpful in that regard. So
overall, do you think a home yardener could do a project like this?
Oh, easy. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't have my impact wrench out here and stuff, but you can. The first garden beds I made here when we first bought this house, what, 15 years ago? I just used a socket wrench, and put them in with a socket wrench, and that took a little elbow grease, but it's a lot quieter than the impact wrench. But
And then
I just used a skill saw with a square. But yeah, they're very simple boxes to do. I like to spend the extra time and do the staining. It makes them last a lot longer.
And how much would you say, like, maybe one box would cost?
So it was about $35 for one 10-foot board. So, and if you just bought the 8-foot boards, I think it was like 30. So if you got good 8-foot boards, you could do 90. It was $40 for the cedar post. You could use, if you stained it real good, you could use a pine post and pay a lot less than $40. But I would say with all the lag bolts and the toppers, probably around $160. And then it's probably about $40 to $45 for a yard of good composted dirt to put in there. So you know, 200 to 225 maybe.
Can you tell us what's down here real quick before we end the video?
Oh yeah. So this is what we're going to be doing. Probably the next project is putting together our beehive.
Yeah.
So I've got other equipment in the garage and what, but
Show us that bee suit.
about this is my son. He picked out his own bee suit. He really wanted to start a beehive this spring. So I used to keep bees about a decade ago, and
we got some new boxes.
so the play structure over there took the place of the beehive area that we used to run. And boy, our gardens and flowers used to just pop with the bees. But now we're going to go over to the beehive somewhere over behind the shed over here somewhere. Haven't quite figured out exactly where that's going to go, but these are the 2 brood boxes that are going to go, and so I'm sure we'll have more video on that as we progress. The bees are ordered; they'll be here in I think mid-April.
Cool.
So.
All right. Well, any last words on your garden beds?
No. I'm glad they're all level, and I'm glad they're ready to fill with dirt. And I'm also kind of not glad they're ready to fill with dirt, because that means I have to fill them with dirt. So that's a lot of hauling with the wheelbarrow.
We might get some helpers for
But so
anyway,
well,
there they are.
Yep.
Pretty exciting.
Yep, they look good.
Yeah.
Look good.
All right. Thanks.
All right.